It's been 5 years since I come forward about these visions that I had, auto remote viewings. And since that time, everything I have ever claimed has come true. There's only one thing I cannot pinpoint out of all the things that I have seen. I've been able to predict the exact day, location, and cause people die throughout my life, to the very day and hour. And it became very clear that no matter what I say and do, I cannot convince people. And that became clear when, Crystal, if you're watching this, it became very clear when I wrote down the exact day that Tom O'Brien would die. Hour, location, right down to the hour, you know. I did a video 5 days before he died, pinpointing the exact hour that he would die. And I tried to warn all of you to not take these vaccines coming. And I told you what was in them before they even had a vaccine. Before the pandemic even began in 2018. Well, these days are coming. You can't see what's happening because you've hardened your hearts. And until you actually start opening your heart to feeling how other people feel, feeling the energy of this earth, this is all a light matrix. And until you open your heart, you can't know these things. You're a drone to the system. You're a drone to the matrix. Only one way to escape this matrix, I thought. But it has become clear over time, like I've met the gods of Egypt face to face doing these astral projections, auto remote viewings. The Buddha, who looks like the Mandelbrot with eyes, basically. Angels of gold and blue, the entity us, the alien army that's going to be unleashed upon this world. I know them in full detail. I know everything from vivid details of their appearance to the chain of command and how they operate. Everything's going to change soon, and this is my fear. When the nuclear attack goes down on the USA, southern Ontario will be wiped out a little bit around the lake, about 30 miles north. On that day, the people will be in so much distress that they will do whatever their government tells them to do at that time. And they're going to present biological weapons as a major threat and try and get the people to vaccinate more. Well, what happens when you die? A chemical is released in your heart, it travels up your spine, and DMT is released in your brain, in the pineal gland. And in that moment, your soul separates from your body. I can separate my soul from my body without dying. But when you die, that energy is released, all the memory stored in your heart, because there's brain cells in there, all that memory is released, sent to your spine, up to the pineal gland, and your soul rises up out of your body. When you take that vaccine, this zombie parasite, Hydra vulgaris, 7-headed beast, cut one off, 2 grow back, that's your Hydra vulgaris. From the bottomless pit, they were given a key. CERN, the particle accelerator, they opened up a gate and they pulled these parasites through. These parasites come directly from Satan. Well, when this fungus grows over your heart, it kills the brain cells on your heart. All that memory stored over a lifetime is dead. There is no more separation of the soul from the body the way it used to be. Now, the people that don't vaccinate, what happens is they will glow gold in this nuclear fire. Their souls will glow gold, and their bodies will still continue to stand for a bit, and they will just rise to the clouds. Those who did vaccinate will separate from the body, screaming on fire like a translucent hologram with no shiny, bright colors, nothing. And they will scream on fire, continuing to scream, and drop to the ground into the crust as hydrogen is released from the water and there's flames rolling off the water. Well, there's old souls under the earth in the crust that get disturbed when this happens. And they reach up and they start trying to grab onto people, trying to save themselves. These souls, I don't know what they're doing, but they grab onto the new souls and drag them down with them. And if you don't try to investigate everything that doesn't make sense, whether it goes against your core values and beliefs or not, if you don't do this, you will not go to heaven. There is no stupid people in heaven. That's just all there is. That's all there is to it. In the book, it said, the Christian book, it said, light up the 7 candlesticks. What does that mean? That means light up these chakras. How do you do that? Through inner work. I've learned how to soul breathe, levitate in my dreams with full awareness. I've learned how to see in the dark, blindfolded with my eyes closed, and see everything in the form of energy. I can turn these things on and off. I can turn them on so much so that I can walk around in the daytime with my eyes open and see these things. I can only instruct people so much. You got to do the work yourself. Just because you didn't vaccinate doesn't mean you made it. Doesn't mean anything. You still have years to go. We got until 2029, spring of 2029, 8:43 roughly, that's my guess, p.m., when the grass is at its most greenest state. And that's why I say end of spring, early June, in between April and June, but I actually believe that it's June 14th for some reason. And I'm generally pretty correct about these things. There's going to be a massive flood. Well, in 2026, the Alberta pyramids will be turned on. The gods of Egypt will return. I have seen them face to face. I left my body, went to Orion's belt, entered the temple of gods of solid gold, and I met the creators of Egypt face to face. Now, a lot of people want to fear Egypt because they've been taught to fear Egypt by Satan. Well, if you look around this planet, there's over 5,000 pyramids on this planet. Why would anybody disregard the 5,000 pyramids on this planet and stick with a new religion written by who? Nero? Who? Who wrote this book? Okay? Because Jesus didn't write the book. None of the disciples wrote this book. And another thing, when you walk the path of Satan, you get everything you want. That's a fact. When you don't walk the path of Satan, this life will throw you curveballs at every turn. And where's the proof of that? Okay, so you got Jesus and 12 disciples. What happened to them? There was only one who survived it, John the Baptist. The rest were tortured and murdered, skinned, nailed to crosses. What does that tell you? In the auto remote viewings I did over the last few years, actually it was probably about 16 months ago, I'm guessing 16 months ago, maybe not quite 16 months ago. It's been about a year. I did an auto remote viewing and I met the Messiah overseas in Israel. And when I did this, he could understand my language because our souls, somehow when you speak to others in auto remote viewings, others that have developed souls like Yeshua, I don't even really know what his name is. I just know he's the Messiah. He has tan skin. He always wears white, never black. Maybe a beige belt with his white robe. And he always keeps his head covered. He's walking with 2 disciples right now overseas on cobblestone streets. He walks up a hill every morning to watch the sunrise and recharge his soul. Well, roughly about a year ago, I walked up the hill with him to watch the sunrise before I left and went back to my body. I learned some things that really disturbed me because this is what I learned. You got to do it yourself. And then I've always known this. I've always known this deep down inside. You cannot, on your last day, take away my sins when you never repented. It doesn't work like that. What, you think you can live a whole life of sin and never feel bad about it? Never repent? It doesn't work like that. If that's the way it was, what do you think? You couldn't call it heaven. You would have to call it hell, okay? Because it would be full of people committing evil deeds. People that have evil in their hearts. It doesn't work like that. It's foolish, is what it is. And it's like, it comes down to this. It's like you're walking, you got to treat people as equal. When you're walking down the street and you see someone that's hungry, would you share your last meal with this person? You see someone cold on the street, freezing, would you bring them a blanket in the middle of the night and waste your time? If you see an innocent person being attacked by some people, would you risk your life for him? Well, there's your answer, where you're going. If the answer is no to all of those, you're not going anywhere. And if you're not willing to learn new information and study everything, every little detail on every topic of every religion, you will never know the truth. And the only way to know the truth is to be in love with the truth. And in the truth, there are a lot of things that are scary. But if you're not a soldier, you're not a soldier. Fear is what condemns you. If you fear things, you cannot have an open heart. And that's where Peter Pan, this movie or series or whatever, these Peter Pan stories, they always depict them as levitating when they feel happy inside, when they open their hearts. That's where that comes from. I can only levitate in my dreams when my heart is open. If I'm levitating and I experience any kind of negative emotion, I drop to the ground every time. It's only when I exercise unconditional love that I can levitate. Soul breathing, another issue. People need to learn how to soul breathe. And I can teach it to people. I've tried to teach it to people. I've tried to give people instructions to do this. But the way Satan works and his demons is they control your emotions, and those emotions control your actions. So I could give you the instructions on how to soul breathe, and what will happen? Something will get in your way and prevent you from doing this. Whether it be someone yelling your name or a negative emotion pops into your head and prevents you from doing this. I no longer worry about what's happening with everyone because God has a plan. And that plan is unfolding, and there's nothing I can do to change it. I can help soften the blow by spreading positive energy and teaching people to not fear things. But I can't teach people how to care for other living things. It seems to be you either have it or you don't have it. And I've tried to warn people over the last so many years. The gods of Egypt see through all animals. They see through everything. They see through the eyes of all. So when you're being cruel and mean to whoever it is or whatever it is that you're doing these things to, nothing is unseen. Nothing is unknown. They know every thought, every emotion, every action. Me, I asked the gods, God, to view my life through my eyes, to see exactly what I have seen in 2018, October 17th at roughly 3 p.m. And that's when the voice spoke. The leaves stirred around me, just started churning up. I got chilled to the bone. I looked to the sky. I seen a saucer, and the voice spoke, and he called me the Wanderer. Well, it was one sentence. It was a wanderer. The wanderer under blue skies of pain. That's what he said. And in that very moment, I began to see the matrix. I could see through objects. I could see that if I was looking at a piece of wood, I could see it vibrating like it was just a bunch of particles vibrating. And from there, I began meeting angels, gods, everything. I tried to warn all of you, but there was nothing I could do. Now I'm trying to warn people that you need to get away from Lake Ontario before this nuclear blast, and when it does occur, do not take vaccines. Don't believe this crap. You see craft in the sky, ignore it. Carry on with your life and be happy.